Hey guys, it's Haz and Hadi again. Welcome to another exciting episode. We have a very, very special guest, Miss Layla Lake, here with us.
Yay! Clap it up, clap it up, clap it up.
And we're going to get into some very interesting topics because she knew some very interesting people that I think you guys are going to find very intriguing. So without further ado, Miss Layla Lake.
What's happening with you? What's happening?
Walaikum salam.
Walaikum salam. So let's get right into it, man. Who is Layla Lake?
Well, I'm so thankful to Allah to be a Muslim woman.
Well, to the mic.
So thankful to Allah to be a Muslim woman. I became Muslim when I was 14. That has been an amazing journey. I am a mother, a teacher, a daughter, a friend, a community activist, and a business owner.
MashaAllah.
MashaAllah. You reverted. You wasn't born Muslim, correct?
I wasn't born
So
Muslim.
what age did you revert back to Islam?
14.
What caused that?
So I grew up, I would say, Black conscious and Christian. I wound up going to the Virgin Islands to visit my grandma, and she was a very strong Christian.
Which U.S. Virgin Islands?
Yes, U.S. Virgin Islands, yeah.
St. Thomas?
Yep, St. Thomas.
Okay.
St. Thomas.
I love St. Thomas. Shout out to St. Thomas.
Absolutely. Yep. So we would go to church all the time,
Yeah.
and I would go to church, and I was so sincere, and I would be praying, but I just never believed that Jesus was God, and I felt like a fraud,
All right.
honestly. And I would ask a lot of questions.
Fair.
So, and then I just started questioning things.
Well, the transition to Islam too, I think, is easy because Jesus is still a very big role, plays a big role in the Islamic faith as well.
Right.
So that's why I think it's a lot easier for Christians to become Muslim because it's not like you're losing Jesus, really. If anything, you get to still have him. It's just in a little different light. We don't see him as a deity. We just see him as a messenger from God, a savior who's coming back. And we see him as a very special person who did perform miracles. The same Virgin Mary story is there in our faith. Everything is pretty much very similar. Just that larger than life aspect that Christianity gave to him or ascribed to him, I think we did away with, right?
Absolutely.
So, very good. Very
So
good.
what community, when you reverted, what community did you go to? Cause you're from Harlem, right?
I'm from Harlem.
So I know you got Woody Crush, you got Malcolm Shabazz, you have MIB. What community?
So I grew up in my Chautauqua Jihad,
Jihad,
in
okay.
the Bronx.
Okay, how was that?
It was amazing. So my Chautauqua Jihad was like 3 blocks away from my home. I used to cross the bridge and walk to go there. I just loved the community. They were embracing of me. At the time that I converted to Islam, I was actually in boarding school.
Okay.
So I didn't have a community. So the first time I ever heard a lecture was by Imam Siraj Wahaj.
Right.
It was Why Muslim Women Cover.
Right.
So when I came back to New York, Brooklyn was a little too far for me to go to. I was in, I think,
Yeah.
7th grade. So I wound
Yeah.
up,
In the Bronx.
going to the Bronx.
I mean, Imam Siraj he's a great guy. Listen, he's a great man because because of him, I owe staying Muslim, practicing his faith. I owe a part of that to him, because especially when I was in high school, college, he was great. He was one of the guys. He was local, and I grew up on Long Island, but he was local. He would even come out to Long Island. He would lecture us. He would teach. We'd do all these things, and we would even go to Masjid Taqwa. And I'm going to tell you, we used to do those. Those who know, they know. We do the jiu-jitsu in Masjid Taqwa. And,
May Allah be pleased with Sensei Ali. That's probably what he teacher.
Yeah, he was.
Right.
He was. Yeah, yeah. I went to his janazah. Yeah. Allah yarham. Anyway, but he was one of the pillars in our area that actually kept a lot of us on that path. So that's wonderful. That's something we have in common. So tell us a little bit more, growing up in the Bronx. Tell us, what guided you to go into art, into teaching, into all these things.
So I always say specifically, I grew up in Sugar Hill, Harlem.
Okay.
Sugar Hill, Harlem is where affluent African Americans are from, like Thurgood Marshall, Zora Neale Hurston, Langston Hughes, Duke Ellington. If you've ever seen the show called The Godfather of Harlem, with Forrest Whitaker, but it's just a very historical place. So I never felt like I was from the hood.
Right.
And it was so weird because when I would go to boarding school, kids would be like, "Oh, you're from New York, you rough, you," and I'd be like, "No, like my grandma wears gloves and like beautiful church hats, and she's very,
she's very elegant.
My grandfather wore suits, in Harlem, like we are known for our swag, and like we take, we're very Black conscious, like the community was clean, so I had a very like sense of self because of my neighborhood. And I think that it was like an easy transition becoming Muslim also because of the way the Muslims were presented in my community. So alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. It's wonderful.
That's good. That's good. So, you turn Muslim, and you know the first thing they say when they turn Muslim is to get married. Was that something that they pushed on you when you were young?
No, they didn't push it on me. But I would say they definitely influenced me because at that time, a lot of young girls in my high school were becoming like teenage parents, teenage mothers. And Islam is where I saw African Americans, Muslims getting married.
Right.
And they made it seem like attainable and seem like a desire and a goal.
Right.
Like every other weekend we were having weddings. I never went to so many weddings until I became Muslim, you know, like in real life. And it was something that was like, inshallah, one day I'm going to get married. It was something that influenced me to really love and care about family.
Right.
Come closer to the mic when you talk. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that institution in itself is really what feeds all the other institutions. Like once you have a stable household and you have marriage, you have children, you know, nothing out of wedlock, this and that, you know, this is really what helps promote and grow a healthy society. Because that's the base. Once you eliminate that, that's really when things go wrong. And Haz and I, we talk about this, and I said a big problem with the Black American community was in the 70s and 60s, they took out whatever external factors, internal fact, whatever it was, that father role model, the mother role model, stable marriage, stable home, it was almost done. It became a single parent household. And that really was unfair to those children.
Yeah, and I would say also, like, I would say the OG sisters,
Yeah.
they would, like, teach us. Like, they would invite us to their homes, taught us how to cook. Like, they would pull us to the side. They would give us a lot of wisdom, and it was very much like a community. You know, like, they were there for you. You know, if you were hungry, you come to the masjid, you know you're going to get a plate of fish fry and, you know, something.
Good. I love that.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Now, okay, you went to college. Where did you go to college?
The New School University.
And tell us about New School University.
I wanted to go to Howard, to be honest, but I didn't have savings at that time, and they gave me a full scholarship. It was very isolating. This was before 9/11. Right. I was the only Muslim, like a hijabi in my college, and like that I was viable. There were other Muslims that I saw coming and going, but it was very isolating. So I would go to NYU, to the MSA. There, I would go to the Columbia. I was always into like networking. So I would find community even if it wasn't in my actual college.
And for those who don't know, New School is big on fine arts, right?
It's big on, it's big.
Right.
It has Eugene Lang, Parsons, Manus. It's more of a liberal arts school. So the one thing I would say, one of the things I love is that it doesn't do lecture style. Like you'll have a professor and it's you sit around a table and talk with your professor.
That's nice.
You're not being talked at. Like everyone is there to communicate their thoughts. So
So you graduated, correct?
Yes.
Because you know a lot of people just go to school and they just say I attended.
No.
You didn't pull a P Diddy.
No.
I attended Howard.
No.
Okay. So that's so now you're in college. You finished college. What was next after that?
Oh no, but I have to say the impact of 9/11 was tremendous because my birthday is 9/12. So when that happened, I think I was a senior in college. It changed everything, like within the dynamics of the New York City, and it felt like overnight, like I was a terrorist. I was associated with Osama bin Laden. I didn't have a strong understanding of foreign policy at that time. Before that, like I was an art student, liberal art, like I didn't really understand any of this. And then overnight, people were associating me with terrorism, and it was so overwhelming. In terms of how the Muslim community like was moving at that time. So I really have to acknowledge like the impact of 9/11 on the Muslim community in New York.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all felt that way. You know, growing up, we actually were kind of confused because it's like one day everything was okay, and the next day you became public enemy number one.
Right.
And you know, and I think I was a freshman in college when that happened. And I remember just seeing like, oh my goodness, you know, like all this like vitriol and hatred and everything. But, you know, the media too, the campaign from the media of like anti-Islam, Islamophobia, all this stuff, it was everywhere. Like where, look, most people didn't even know what a Muslim was or ever saw a Muslim, met a Muslim, nothing, had no idea. They just knew whatever they saw on TV. Right. And they were like, the minute they met you, like, what's your name, Muhammad? Oh, you want to kill me? I was like, well, I don't want to kill you, man. I don't have anything, you know. So, you know, we dealt with a lot of that. I mean, now, you know, 20 plus years after, things are, there's still some of that there, but it's much better than it was. Because I think people now are actually interacting with real Muslims, seeing, hey, man, we're not really trying to do anything to you or anything like that. We're not out to kill you or anything like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's interesting because during that time, I remember that you said that being a black woman, because when that happened, it was like, all right, the black Muslims was like, yo, they ain't messing with us. And I think America made it like, okay, we're not messing with the Americans or the black Muslims. We're not messing with y'all. Because a lot of black organizations were like, we ready for war. I mean, my parents was like, get the gun. We got shotguns and they're going to run, But to know that you had that fear, that's good. Not good, but that's enlightening to hear. Like, not just Arabs were getting their scarves pulled off and stuff like that. It was other women who were being targeted and stuff like that.
So you went to New University, you finished up. What career path did you choose? What are you doing? Tell us about that.
So I always wanted to be an artist, but I was kind of deterred because of some people's opinions about Muslims drawing images and things like that. And also I was first generation going to college, so I had all this pressure to like make a living and a career, and it didn't. Being an artist just seemed like I might be poor. I don't want to be poor.
It's very hard, starving artists. Everybody hears about that.
Exactly.
It's
so
tough. Yeah.
I wound up becoming a teacher in the public school system. I work for a lot of great organizations.
Teaching art.
Yeah, teaching art. I taught social studies, things like that. So just kind of jumping into
which
my
public
career.
school?
So I work for the Harlem Children's Zone, which is a great charter school. I work for Children's Aid Society. I also worked for the Museum of Modern Art. I kind of just wanted to find myself. And then I wound up being the creative arts director at the Boys and Girls Club on 155th and Bradhurst, which was an amazing opportunity. The reason why I predominantly worked in after school is because in public school, the art curriculum, the programming is always changing, and I found more freedom with after school. So,
very good. Right. And you're a businesswoman too. Tell us about your business.
So my business is ASAP Layla Streetwear. Streetwear is kind of just same thing as urban wear.
Casual clothing.
Yeah, it's streetwear. It's casual clothing. It's clothing with an attitude, a little more edgy and trendy. So while I was teaching children at the Boys and Girls Club, I was teaching them T-shirt designs, and I came up with this tag name ASAP Layla because I was teaching them graffiti art. And to be a good graffiti artist, you got to have a tag name.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You gotta have a tag, yeah.
So mine was ASAP Layla because I wanted to create a name that also incorporated me being from Harlem. I'm not in the ASAP mob. A lot of people ask me that, but it's just that, I'm a fan of ASAP Rocky, ASAP Ferg, shout out to them. But it was just more so like that was my tag, my graffiti name.
Got it.
So in addition to that, like I always teach what I do myself. So if I'm teaching photography, which is how I wound up interning for Haji Hassan anyway, for the lovers, I wanted to learn more about photography. I couldn't go back to school to study it.
Right.
He had put up a post about he needed interns for photography.
It's nothing like real life experience.
Right. And so about my streetwear brand, it really was organically me teaching my students how to have a brand that I created my own. And when the pandemic hit, all of the art teachers were furloughed.
Oh.
So now I was
now
like,
you can't even teach.
Now I'm gonna have to sell these shirts for real. Like I'm gonna have to.
I gotta eat.
I gotta eat.
Mama's gotta eat.
Mama's gotta eat. And so it was amazing. Like I started making my T-shirts. I literally got a table from Home Depot. I put my shirts in suitcases. Me and my son got on the 101 bus and we went to 125th Street and we sold my shirts. And one day I made $900. That blew my mind.
Nice.
And it showed me that my community supported me. And like when you're selling something that the people want, they're gonna support it. That's one that's like the Harlem is known for the Apollo too. Like we're just those type of people.
Absolutely.
Like if you got talent, we're gonna cheer you on. If you whack, we're gonna boo you. So I just was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, what if I can like live my dreams and also make a living? Like maybe I'm onto something here. Maybe I don't need to go back and work for somebody. Maybe I need to actually do what I love, which is my art, my streetwear, my clothes. And it was just an amazing journey. So I combined all the things that I had been teaching my students and started applying it to my life.
Very nice. Very nice. Good. Love it. Love it. I love hearing that.
What are some of the highs and lows of your business? Some of the high moments that you had?
So one of the low moments is just what a lot of a lot of designers have to deal with, which is our designs being stolen.
Yeah,
And
I'm sure
fighting
that's rough.
fast fashion.
Yeah.
You know, brands like, companies like Forever 21, Zara, those are fast fashion. They
Right.
can knock us off like anything.
Yeah.
So that's what's really disheartening, like seeing your designs in the stores not getting credit for it.
Right.
And then I would just say competing with the big guys, like 125th Street during the Giuliani administration, it was a whole bunch of vendors. It was known for that, right? Because that's where that style of shirt that I do is known from. It's from that era of the 99s and 2000s. If you didn't have money for a fit, you could go to 125th and buy a favorite
Saint
rapper
Nick.
shirt. Yes.
Yes, I remember
and
this.
that's what you can do. Like, and you still, you know what I'm saying, get into the party. So like for me, it's like the fact that now we are fighting with like all these major corporate brands to have black businesses in our neighborhoods, which is really disheartening. It's what's hard. Like I just say can't. Allah knows best. But these major corporations, they don't make enough spaces for us to collaborate with us, bring us in the stores.
I remember in Harlem, you could get a white tee
Right.
and Air Force Ones, and you can go anywhere. You can go in the club. You can go white tee, $5 white tee.
Yep.
And that was the thing. Now it's like Amiri and Chrome Hearts, and I feel sorry for these teenagers coming. There's so much pressure on them having these brands now that we didn't have that. We
It
had
was style. You can have style. You can have swag.
You were independent.
Yeah, but you can also put your little twist on it. You know.
That's good.
That's crazy.
really
That's
good.
crazy. That's crazy. Awesome.
Now, a little bit about your personal life. I'm sorry to ask this, but you know, if you don't mind, because we are unplugged here. So, are you married?
I'm not married.
You're divorced.
I'm divorced.
You have children.
I have 2 children, 2 sons. One is 11 and one is 16. But I was married very young. I got married at 19
Okay.
to a Muslim brother that had graduated Hampton University. And I had community support. And
Okay.
again, because my community was advocating marriage, it was the first thing that I wanted to do, even before college, actually.
What made you all split?
It's kind of personal. We kind of just went. We were married for a while, like about 7 years. But he wanted to follow a different direction. And so we kind of just, had a divorce.
All right. You still, because, I mean, he's the father of your children. I mean, you're still obviously in contact with him.
Yeah.
It's like co-parenting. Is that really hard?
It is, to me, if your children are created out of love and you understand the bigger picture, which is you're having healthy children, then you can put your things aside. Like us being parents has nothing to do with the relationship. Like, because certain things might happen in your marriage may never be fixed, may never be healed, or you come to peace with it, whatever it is. But one thing's for sure, like those children like deserve the best of both parents. So I definitely advocate for co-parenting.
Do the children, they stay with you most of the time, or with him, or half? How does it work?
They stay mostly with me.
Okay. And that's by choice, or
that's by choice.
Okay. All right. Hey, listen, this is you're a good mother.
Yes, motherhood is everything to me.
Yeah.
So, how is it trying to get married having children?
Wow, that's a great question.
Wait, let me ask you.
okay.
Are you even looking to get remarried?
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
You don't have to.
No, I think it's important. I think it's important. I think marriage is beautiful. I know marriage is beautiful. I do believe, whether people say it's half your deen or not, but I do believe in marriage and the companionship. It's really important.
Even though the first one didn't work out perfectly, obviously,
right.
you're not disheartened that you wouldn't try it again.
No.
Well, that's great. I love that. See, I don't know. See, I think sometimes if I got divorced, would I remarry right away? Probably not.
Yeah, because you're a man. So you're not going to look. You don't need companionship.
Yeah.
They need companionship. It's different.
But I think men need companionship too.
Not like how women need.
Oh, maybe not
No,
like
because
women.
we have different roles. So a man, if he, like you said, if he divorced, may Allah protect you from that. He's a leader. So he's going to be like, you know what, my kids, my business, my this. He has different responsibilities. I did it for 30 years, 40 years. Right. You is different. You're going to be like, you know what, I like to be led. I like to have a man. I want to be provided for. I want to be protected. So I think the roles
Well,
is
I
different.
don't think she necessarily, I'm not speaking for her, but just from what I gather, she's pretty independent. She's doing well. I don't think it's about just being provided for. I think for her.
Well, let her answer that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
we always talk about this.
Let her answer that.
I want to hear this. Yeah.
Because, I'm like known on the lives for being the one that's like, I'm not going 50-50. and I'm not, and it's not coming from a place where like I want to be an independent woman. I have to. I'm surviving in New York City, right?
Sure, it's
So
expensive.
I grew up around strong women, but I don't want to put this strong woman like cape on all the time, like at all. Like I really love that Allah. Like we're two different genders,
Sure.
and I feel like men can go to work, come home, and it be women we have to decompress. We're stressed out. We have to still deal with the kids. Like it's totally different for us. So no, I don't want to. I'm independent because I have to survive.
Okay.
You know, but not because I'm like this.
Not
is
by choice.
Yeah, I need a husband.
You want
like,
a husband.
I want a husband. I think that's
Okay.
what like
That's
that
what
is.
I'm saying.
is
I wanted to
out
hear
of
it
me,
from you. That's all I
No,
wanted.
alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
Like I don't.
All right.
I don't want. I mean, I don't want to just be the way. This is a whole conversation how Muslim women or Muslims in general are dealing with this feminism thing. Like we have a totally different look to all of that ideology, and
We
I actually.
do.
Yeah, no, we do,
I
and like
like it.
actually was like. My college tried to indoctrinate me with feminism, so
Thank
I'm very familiar with like
Sure.
that whole ideology, and I'm so anti it.
So now, as a father of, I have two daughters, right? One is 13 and one's 5. All right, and I have one son, he's 12. Now, let's say they start getting this because it's part of the school system, it's part of the education system, it's living in America, growing up in America. That feminism, whatever the third, fourth wave, whatever it is gonna be there. Now, how do I look? I don't want to be like, look, that's just bad. You know, that never works. Now, how as a father, give me advice. What do I say to my daughters who are growing up here?
I have been in like women's classes where I learned about the female Sahaba and just like learning our history as Muslims, and you see that we just have a different lifestyle. That's it. Like I'm at peace with if that's what works for them in their society, but we have a different way in which we do things. You know, and it makes sense because it's Allah's plan. So it makes sense for me because I'm a Muslim. I don't even argue it. And especially as Muslim women, we are seen as oppressed and we got to be, you know, submissive to our husbands. And it's so much that we have to fight against. But I don't see it that way. And that's specifically because I grew up here and I see the difference. And a lot of these women who go to college, go to work, and they're stressed out. Like their life as they define it is not really what it is behind the scenes. And then also something else, like before I became a teacher, I was working in daycare. So for me, like I'm very anti like having a 40-hour work week and then your baby, like your brand new baby, your toddler has to be shuffled to a daycare. I would work in daycares and see like the teachers pushing, the cribs, and it was just like a cookie factory, like changing diapers. And that's such a golden time that you're supposed to be bonding with your child. Sure. And so the feminism has taken women out of the home and into this workplace and all this pressure, and we're losing more and more connections with our family. Like we don't even really sometimes sit around and just have dinner together anymore, watch television. Your grandma in the living room, your aunties, everyone just laughing. Like all of the family things have been taken out of American society slow more and more and more. And that's removing the woman out the home and into the workplace. So
there's all these studies. I'm glad you mentioned that. There's all these studies on families just doing something together 3-4 times a week. So something simple as just having dinner, like for an hour together, where they go through their day, they go through new things, new challenges, talk about whatever's happening, what's on their mind, whether the kid's mind, mother's mind, father's mind, whatever it is. This has shown to help children with their adult life exponentially compared to people who don't have that, who never ate family dinner or never did anything together or never went even on like a little, I'm not saying you have to go on some fancy vacation every 2 months or 3 months, whatever it is. I mean, that's great. If you can afford that, you do that, and that's wonderful. I'm not saying anything else, but just even doing something simple like as a family, they went to the park, they rode their bicycles together, something which is free, right? It doesn't take. If they even did that like once a week, that is shown to help these children. I don't know. It's unbelievable how much more it helps them.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
And as teachers, we do full studies, like especially charter schools versus public schools, full studies on how to make the child like the most successful.
Right.
And it has the family is always incorporated in that.
Wow.
Like the whole family is the child in general. You can't separate it.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you said all that. Now, since you want to get married again, and especially being a Muslim woman, a practicing Muslim woman, how do you do that process, especially now that you have 2 children that are a big part of your life, you have your own career, your own business. You're not teaching art anymore.
Not at this time.
Okay.
No.
But you have your business, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. So you're very busy. You have all this. Now, how do you now get back into the society and find a suitable husband? How does that work?
With a lot of prayer, a lot of salat. No, seriously, I really know within my heart that Allah is the best of planners.
Right.
So I know I've had miracles that have happened for my life. So I'm asking Allah constantly to give me the intuition, the foresight, and in the meantime, prepare myself for my husband. So that's the first answer is prayer. But secondly, like community. I think community is really important. I don't have a Muslim family per se,
Right.
so I lean on other brothers and sisters that I know, my community, my imam. Having a wakil, the traditional things that you do, but not isolating yourself, which I find I have some friends that are really introverted and they want husbands, but they never come outside.
Correct. Nobody knows about them.
Nobody knows about them.
How are you going to marry someone you don't know?
Right. Well, they don't know anyone.
Right.
So, right. So I think you have to have a balance of a social life a little bit and confide in people that you trust, that you're looking for someone. And as Muslims, we should care. Like, if you're married and and you have a Muslim sister or brother that's not married, you should care. That's like having a brother or sister that's hungry, and you don't buy them something from Walmart or something. You know what I'm saying? Just to make it a little easier for them. So
now, what kind of man, what kind of husband are you like looking for? Like, what are your like? I always like my father told me this. Like, I hate to say, he said, "Listen," he goes, "if you can get 3 things that you really like want in a spouse, and everything else doesn't whatever," he's like, "it'll be fine." Like I was never like, "Oh, I need everything to be perfect, this and that, whatever." But I want to ask you, especially now that you are a little bit more mature, you have 2 children, you've been through it one time around. What is it that you really want? Like, what are like 3 things that you need, like non-negotiable? I'm asking.
Okay, so of course, like Quran and Sunnah, that you're a practicing Muslim.
Okay,
right?
1.
But also that you have emotional intelligence.
2.
And you are ambitious. You are ambitious within yourself. That it's not like you need someone to motivate you. You need a wife to motivate you because, like, not only in addition to everything, I'm not motivated to be a businesswoman because like I want more Chanel bags. I love philanthropy. Like, I love giving back to my community. I don't think we can do things without resources, which is money.
Absolutely.
So I would love to marry another Muslim brother that knows that and that's also like working within that lane. For me, that those things are important.
So he's got to be rich?
No, it's more so like, but you have to be an adult. Like, you have to be responsible. I think I'm a sister of a certain age, like, because we had this conversation too.
Yeah.
Like, it's not necessarily like the hourly rate that you make, but like I said, that's why I said ambition. Like, you're a self-starter yourself.
Okay.
Like, you can like say, okay, I'm lacking in this. I could even have a plan with my husband. Okay, you're gonna go back to school and get your master's. I'm gonna hold down the bills. Like, I know it's extreme for me to say, but if I believed in my husband, I would do that because he is ambitious. Like, you have to come together as a family and make a plan for what's gonna benefit the family, and compromise in these times. So, yeah.
So look, I know a Muslim couple. And it's amazing that you said that. They tried to do the same thing, and they ended up in a divorce where she was holding everything down. She was a professional. She was a lawyer. She was doing well, and the husband, too, was doing well, but he had to go back to school. I think he had to get a master's in some IT thing or whatever it was, and then that would significantly increase his pay, and they agreed on it, but that was about a 2.5 to 3 year process. And in that, they ended up getting divorced. And now that divorce is done, it's been a few years, he told me, he's like, that was probably one of the biggest mistakes he ever made was going back. Like, he's like, everything was fine. I don't know why, I did, this and that, you know what I'm saying? So
it changes. It changes the woman. So, because
I know you're saying that, but do you really mean that?
Well, Hadra, you wanted to say something.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Let me.
I know, I'm working on that. I'm getting better every day.
No, I said it's women are not equipped to handle the pressures of that like that. So anytime you put a woman in that space, it's a high percentage that they're going to fail. They're not built to be breadwinners.
But you think you can handle that?
Oh, I know I can because, again, I'm mature. So I would say my first marriage was the first time I ever had a relationship, marriage, anything, right? And I had a lot of fantasies. I had a lot of Cinderella things going on with what I expected in my marriage. So for me, it was like, oh, I can go on dates now with my Muslim husband, and we can go on picnics in the park. And I wasn't thinking about the pressures of rent and bills and things like that. I had different expectations. So now, like, if I had so what's valuable to me is a husband that's gonna be there making fajr with me, that we're gonna save to go to Hajj. Like, these are things that I want. Someone who loves me to the point that they don't want me to go to the hellfire.
Well, you grew up.
It's way more important to me than like this big, huge house and all these materialistic things. So I think the pressure is on like the amount of money your husband is making has to do more with like where you are with the dunya. Really,
and your
like,
akhirah. Right.
And so like companionship is so beautiful. Having a best friend, having someone that cares about you, loves you, those things are priceless things. And these days and times to find for Allah to bless you with. So I would value it. Like, yeah.
So about what age did you realize? Is this after the divorce you realized that? Or you knew it while you were still married, or what? Well, tell me when.
No, it's definitely after the divorce. Yeah.
Once you make your mistakes, you do a
so you learn
self-eval,
from it.
you learn.
You see, there's always definitely something that comes out of something negative. Still, something positive comes out. That's wonderful.
It's good. It's good to hear that people want to get married. You know what I'm saying? Like you want to be married, you want to have a husband, you want that. Because a lot of people, I'm gonna just get some cats. And I know we have our lives on Instagram, and you hear that a lot. Like people like, yo, I just want some cats. I can't deal with this. These men are crazy. And it's like, whoa, no.
I want to ask her. Look, you're a Muslim woman, right? So because you're a Muslim, marriage is important, this and that. But do you know other Muslim women who don't really care for marriage, or do you think it's just it's mostly the non-Muslim women who are kind of acting?
No, I know.
Right.
First of all, I was that sister a couple of months ago.
This is what I want to know.
I was her. I don't even have to talk about other Muslim sisters.
Good,
I was like, I'm never getting married again.
Okay.
I am traumatized. It's a wrap for me.
Yeah.
Oh well, I have to wait till paradise, inshallah. Like it's done. Like, and that's because I was stuck in a lot of pain. And if you even sometimes on the live, like I would sound so angry. Because I had to heal from my trauma. And so after divorce, it's like 3 months. We're not supposed to I took a long time.
That's fine.
Because you have to like get past certain things, especially if you want to attract a person. You don't want your husband to have all this baggage or have to deal with what you've been through. Right. So I think when people say they don't want to get married, it's because they're stuck in pain, but also you do have to just put all your trust in Allah. Like I might get married again and get another divorce. And that's a painful thought. But I trust that Allah is like the best of planners.
You'll take
and
a chance.
This life is about tests, mind you. Like
absolutely.
Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was tested. You will be tested. I don't know why people don't think they will be tested. We're tested with so many things.
I'm gonna tell you why, right? Sometimes people have it so good, or they see all the crap around them is so good that everything, it's all fake, by the way. It's not real. But they see that and they want to make their heaven on earth. They want their Jannah in Dunya. And I keep telling people, I tell all my friends, family, everyone this. I said, oh, they go, I can't believe this happened. Why? I said, I'm going to tell you why it happened. It's because God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He wants you to see that this is your temporary abode. This is not your permanent place. And it won't ever be perfect. But everyone wants to make it perfect. They're obsessed with making it perfect.
We have so many reminders around us because it could be worse. You could like be on meth. You could be like an atheist. You could be worshiping shaitan.
Always be
like
worse.
it's if Allah has put Islam in your heart, first of all, like that, go with that first, like, and then just work on yourself and pray, like inshallah, that you find love, because there are people that are married and they're miserable. They're not happy. I'm not even gonna front. Yeah. So you know what I'm saying. Like, so the thing is, inshallah, just stay in prayer and keep asking Allah.
What would you say to this question? Now, look. One of my nurses, right? My wise nurse, she's a Haitian woman. She's very wise, I gotta tell you, even whatever you want to call her. And she said, look, she's like, I don't need someone else to make me miserable. I could be miserable by myself. So now what would you say to those people who are in a marriage where they are miserable? Is it better for them to separate, divorce, or is it better for them to stick it out?
I don't know the answer to that question because you have to go before Allah to give the reason why
No, your opinion.
But the thing is this, like, you have to work on your own happiness. That's another thing. Like, people just are waiting for love, for another person to love them out of their misery. Like, I'm happy all by myself. Like, I wake up happy and I'm single. Good. And that's okay. Like, that I make sure that I'm doing things in my life.
You're at peace with yourself.
No, but I've chased this soft girl life. Like, I really, especially in New York, we wake up and somebody's going to guarantee to get on your nerves. So as Muslims, like, what we have to do every day to maintain like remembrance of Allah should make you happy. So I just feel like you are responsible for your own happy, right? But if someone else really and truly is making you miserable, and you have the right to adjust that. Have patience with them. Speak to them about what they can do to change it, and it's your decision, because people are getting divorced now in our community out of very selfish reasons and not thinking about the children and the impact of the family. And then they regret it. like a couple of weeks go by and they realize the grass is not greener on the other side, and they miss their wife.
That's right.
And they have done so many things over time and years to make their spouse miserable that the spouse doesn't have love for them anymore.
It's always like that. It's always like, people think the grass is green on the other side. Like recently, I had one of my supporters hit me up like, yo, and this is just a true story. Like, yo, it is not throwing no shots. Like, yo, are you and so and so? We say no names on the pod. Are you and so divorced? And I said, yeah. He said, yeah. I saw her profile on Moose Match, and screenshot and sent to me. I said, damn. See, it's crazy. You thought you had all of these options. You thought I'm gonna break up with Haas and it ain't whatever, right? And I'm gonna go out there and find my Prince Charming. But now you gotta go to a dating app to find.
What's your opinion on these dating?
Now you
apps?
gotta go to
God.
Tell me a little bit about that. I want your perspective.
I made a promise to tell the truth, even if it was. So I most definitely was on the Salams app.
Okay.
I think it's very dangerous. I think Salams is an app for profit. First of all, it's a business within itself. So it's different than a brother or sister in the community having pure intention to help you or your family members. So I think we need to keep that in mind.
Right.
It's a business. But I think it can be very devastating for Muslim sisters who are maybe born into Islam or just real innocent, shy, don't have street smarts, and then they fall in love with they're catfished. Or a brother tells them, send me pictures. I need more pictures. I want more pictures. What kind of pictures you need, brother? More pictures. Or you're in this long distance 8-month marriage that's never really going to happen. It's a lot of where there's positives because it gives you greater access to Muslims you may not have had access to in different states. I think it's just it's showing the lack of our resources to be able to just do it amongst ourselves as a community. And so I understand it, but I also say be cautious of it. It's very dangerous. I've had very traumatic.
It's a cesspool.
Things.
So there's a lot of fraud happening on these apps.
There's no one to vouch for another person. Our prophet told me something reputation was important in Islam. Who is she the daughter of? Who is she? What family? What tribe does she come through? On Muzmatch or Salams, you don't know who this person is. He could be really texting you from his cell. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? A whole psychopath.
I hate these apps. I'll be my personal opinion.
Okay.
I never been on. I mean, I've been married a long time. I don't, whatever. I never needed to ever go on one or whatever it is. But I talk to people who are on them and nobody's really happier with them. All it is especially even non-Muslims too, right? Mm-hmm. This swipe left, swipe right, swipe, whatever. Actually, they complain about the dating scene. They complain about, the men are complaining about the women are complaining about the men.
Right.
They're there's nothing good that really comes out of it. And that hits to your point. There's no one to validate anything. So now you go into the date or whatever it is. Half the time they get catfished, like you said. The other half of the time, it's not what it seems. And the relationships are meaningless. Maybe 1 month tops, 2 months, 3 months, whatever. Yeah, I'm dealing with one of my good friends right now. He's so sick of the apps, he gave up on it. He said, forget it. I'm willing to go to a foreign country and just marry someone on the spot.
It's two extremes. It's if you want, if you're not paying for it,
he's that jaded.
If you're not paying for it, you're not gonna get nothing good.
No, he's paying for these apps too.
No, I'm not.
He's paying a subscription though.
No. He's paying a subscription. I'm talking about you got to pay the women. Right, you paying the women.
Got it.
And if you're not paying the women, you're gonna get the catfish people. You're gonna get the people playing. It's two extremes. There's no middle. It's all right, if you're on these apps, social media, Instagram, TikTok, everybody is showing the representative of themselves. It's a highlight reel. You're not getting the genuine person. So when you meet somebody on social media, Smooth Match or Salams, you're not knowing who they post some pictures with filters, and now you have AI, and you can transform your face.
People
and all
lie
that.
too.
So, but even before you get to the lie, I mean, how they present themselves, you know what I'm saying? And then when you get into that, you are constantly not satisfied. You're swiping. Okay, she look cute too. She look cute too. She look cute too. So there's no representation. There's no solid, concrete, nothing. So that's why I call it the cesspool. It's a cesspool.
But I think that there are a lot of Muslims that feel alone in the process. Yeah. It's just them. 8:00 at night. You lonely. You know you the spouse. Where do you go?
That's honest. That's
the thing normal. Is, I'm really excited about opportunity to travel to Muslim countries because there's more family events and social events. And here, what events do Muslims go? Halal events. So also the lack of like, where do you actually find? Like we were on a live and the brother told me like sisters need to shoot their shot at brothers. When? Like
Where?
when we in my mission we have separate entrances.
Right.
The brothers are going to their car in the parking lot.
Right.
It would be completely like it's out of my consciousness to even
Right.
think like where do I shoot my shot in the
Right.
parking lot of the masjid
Right.
after Juma?
It doesn't make
Juma
sense.
is for the remembrance of Allah. It's
Right.
not the club.
Yeah, I'm not
So
there to get married.
You're not
Right,
there
right.
to get married.
Right,
You're
right.
not. So it's like because there's lack of actual events or places for us to go in the community. Where do you actually find your spouse but on Muzmatch or Salams?
Right.
It's a lack of community.
Right.
It's a lack of community
I
because back in the
yeah.
day, it used to be the parents. No, the parents
or
or the
auntie
uncles.
or uncle
this, and they
or
set it up.
cousin
Right,
or
yeah.
someone.
We
Hey,
don't-
I have a friend I want you to meet. Da, da,
Unfortunately,
da, this and that.
unfortunately,
Yeah.
we don't really have that dynamic. You know what I'm saying? So that's why.
No, but I think that's the point I'm trying to get at, and I'm glad you said what you said. I think we need to go back to that dynamic, and even for the non-Muslims too. Before they used to meet someone through a friend, or they met someone through at wherever at some event or something. They got to talk to them. They got to see it. They got to see what it is, and it worked out much better. Now all it is I mean I don't want to say. Well, I'll just say it. It's just become basically like, oh, let's just get together, have sex, and that's it.
It's
And it's so meaningless,
Yeah.
and it's terrible, And I think that's what most of these apps have become. They
Yeah.
suck.
yeah, because the people that are using them
Yeah.
are don't have good intentions.
No,
Then you
even
have men.
even the people who have good intentions, right? They have good intentions. They see what it is, and then listen.
It's
Sometimes
successful, like you
it's-
said, though, because it's a
the
mixture of a lot
woman.
of different people.
I have a good friend. He's been on this show. Whatever. It's the woman. He's the man, and he's even saying, "It's like, listen, I don't even want to sleep with her till at least I meet her." And he's non-Muslim, and he's a good friend of mine. And he will say, he's like, "Listen, I meet the girl on the first date. She wants to. She's just like, I just want to have sex."
Yeah,
like,
because
what is that?
That is what it's for. And any man that gets on a social media dating app and think that's not what it is, he's stupid.
Yeah.
He's fooling himself. You go on these social media apps, you're going to get a lick. That's it. That's it. Any real marriage, you're not going about it like that. You're not going anything seriously. You're not going. You're not. You're not, because there's no way to verify who is this person, where are they from, who's their family, what do they like.
What's their history? Anything? There's
yeah,
nothing.
What's going on?
Right,
No. It doesn't work like that. Now, if he met somebody on social media and then you know the family, then you could do some background, then that's different. Okay, they met on social media, but now we're going to do the real work. But unfortunately, in our community, you know this to be true, we don't have a lot of those elders and those uncles and aunties in the community that can do that and that can put those them young kids together, stuff like that. So that's something that a lot of women, I feel for. They have to kind of fend for themselves at some time. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, what you gonna do? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you gonna do? And that's why a lot of sisters go to Muzmatch, go to Salams, because Salams is like the Wakil now. It's a new age Wakil. It's like, all right, I ain't gotta see the brother, I ain't gotta touch him. Let me just go in this app, put up some pictures, and let me see what happens. And that's when I got the call, and somebody told me about that. I said, man, Allah bless it. Man, Allah give her whatever she need. She ain't gonna find me. But it's real talk. Man, she get what she gonna get. Right. But that's the reality, because I bet you, in our minds, we always think there's options, right? Even we all guilty of it. Like, man, this don't work out. I'm gonna go get this one. I'm gonna go get that one, right? And then when you get out of it, you're like, shit, it's really nothing out here. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really nothing out here. So. I feel for the it's crazy, man. Allah give us all good spouses.
I mean, look, I've even seen couples, they were married for years, they got divorced for whatever reason, something superficial, really, like you were saying. And 2 years go by, and both of them are like, we never should have gotten a divorce. My advice to anyone else who's thinking about it is like, just stick it out, stay together, whatever, unless it's some like non-negotiable, some kind of abuse, this, that, whatever it is. But if it's just like, maybe, his mother's annoying, her father's annoying, some silly things like that, you should be able to work through that. And that's what everyone's advice. But I think America, too, it makes it too easy. It's very easy. You get a divorce now. When you get divorced, there's people who get divorced in like $60 or something. It's crazy. I was like, oh, as long as they don't have assets, it's very easy.
I think we used to set the trends. We used to set the trends. And like I said, I know the distinction between Muslim households and the Sirat al-Mustaqim versus whatever's going on in the Dunya. And I think also the impact of social media. A lot of sisters, I'm going to just talk for the sisters. I noticed like it's a lot of sisters using like Instagram or TikTok to talk to brothers in ways that they wouldn't talk to them if they were standing in front of them, right? There's a lot of disrespectful conversations, a lot of like you letting you too comfortable. This is a stranger, you know what I'm saying? But because we don't have like safe spaces or we don't really know how to gauge being in this dunya and being Muslim at the same time. And that, I have sons like, so I don't want my sons to like go to college and be hanging out the hookah bars, going to clubs, and then on Juma go to Juma. Like I don't want the double life
living
thing.
two lives.
And if we need to have more conversations with young Muslims about their identity crises, like trying for them navigating the dunya, which is a real thing. Like how do you expect a young brother that's handsome, he goes to college, or a young sister, and now it's like, okay, I don't got no parents, they're not looking on my shows. So now is the test is coming to you. And when it comes to like, we encourage them to get married, have more supportive options. You know, maybe the young brother can't afford an apartment, but he could live with his parents, or she could live off campus, or we have more open options just as long as they are married, inshallah. And we talk more about young people getting, because I was married in college and that saved my life. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to me, like traditionally in American society, they teach you to be very promiscuous in college. It's almost like a rites of passage.
It's experimentation.
It's crazy. Like people teach you that that's how you find yourself, by having all these partners. And then like, this is why some women, like, they are like halfway like crazy. Like by the time they're in their late 20s, 30s, they've been through it with love and with understanding it. So it's like Islam gives you so many ways that you need to live, and we apply that and we make it look cool. Like inshallah, like we keep creating content around family and cool young Muslim couples that are together with their kids. This is what we need to do in the community.
That's what I want to hear. I want to hear some answers from you.
Yeah, for sure.
So, okay, I get it. You want to show like, look, it's possible, it's doable, but I feel like it takes it's like a joint effort, right? Because like, look, let's say the boy is like 19, 20, all right? The girl's also like 19, 20, whatever it is, right? They are not making any money there, whatever. I mean, is this where like the parents kind of step up and say, look, we're going to handle everything till your education, everything's complete. Then when you are making your money, you can go off and get your own house, do whatever, or you could choose to stay in extended family situation, whatever. Do you advocate for something like this?
No.
Well, I'm going to learn to answer.
Well, for me, so my son is like 6'5", he's 16. From the sisters at the masjid, the young sisters already told me that the girls in his school are like, you know, trying to holler at him and talk to him. He's a very shy little boy though, right? Not ready to be anybody's husband, right?
16.
But I'm already right now teaching him about like, you know, bills, rent, responsibilities, these things. So we're going to graph a plan. If my son was to come to me today and tell me he's ready to get married, I would do everything in my power to support him, inshallah. Because that's better than him coming and tell me like, I got a girl pregnant, astaghfirullah, or my son is just out here. Because what's the alternative? Like as parents, and this is where we could talk about motherhood, like and parents, you can't like just say your kids can't do something, but don't give them solutions to what they can do. And there's a problem with repression of sexuality in the way we treat young Muslims and Muslims in general. I was teaching a sewing class at my masjid just to have a safe space for the young girls to talk. And they were really talking to me about how repressed they feel, how overwhelmed they feel. They know they're not married, but they want boyfriends, or they want to fall in love. Like it was just, and so it's like we need to have these conversations. So for me, yeah, I would let the sister move into my home with me until my son, he would have responsibilities. Like we would have a plan, but we kind of have that plan now where he has a summer job. He's learning about money. He's learning certain things that he's preparing and stepping into what it would be to be a Muslim husband and father, you know? So I think that's the process once your child turns from childhood to, you know, teenagers. Because also we don't really do the teenage thing too much either. Like you're a child and then you're an adult.
There's no such thing as teenage, right? Haz was quick to say no. I would like to hear why.
No, because we don't have that. Would you say like the parents take care of the kids and they get married at a young age? The parents sometimes still trying to figure it out. So they don't have, the kids don't, sorry for some of the kids, they don't have the support of the parents to take care of them to go get married. So, and kids know that. They know my mom's is working 6 jobs or 2 jobs. My dad is not, they don't have the money to say, all right, y'all move in the basement. Right. We got y'all. Y'all take the room upstairs. Right. I was blessed to have that opportunity. I married young and I was blessed to have my family because I had a family. Said, all right, cool, you're in college, y'all can see each other on the vacations. I have my shit. And then when we drove friends with college, all right, cool, y'all can move in our house. You'll pay us a little $300 a month. You know, it's nothing, you know.
Just to keep you honest.
Right. To keep you keep it right. And a lot of people don't have that family structure,
Right.
and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. A lot of our kids got to figure it out at teenagers. They're like, all right, my mom don't have no money, my dad ain't got no money, because a lot of young people are having kids young. So you're a young person, you 25 and you still figuring it out, and you got a 10-year-old or whatever you get. A lot of our people don't have that, so that option is not really there. They're like, all right, so.
But if it was there, you'd be okay with it because you went through it.
For my kids,
Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. I'm absolutely.
I'm talking about you.
Absolutely. But I have the resources, and I have to do that. A lot of people don't have that.
But this is how grandparents start take on having to watch their grandchildren, right? Because people still having kids though.
Right.
They just don't have the support and the structure, but they're still out here having the children and having broken families because there was no plan for those young people in the first place. So again, it's just like us as Muslims leading with family. Muslims in the African American community, I feel like are very highly respected. Like we are the ones that lead, especially my era, the 99s, 2000s. It was Muslims who was getting married, who was holding out families, who, everyone knew the Muslim family on the block that had like 6 kids and they was like vendors or working or had a family. Like a lot of people look up to us as Muslims, even if they may not be Muslim, in terms of how we have our family structure. So we need to continue to maintain that,
I like that.
Inshallah.
All right. I think it was a very good podcast. I think we covered a lot of great topics, and I think you were fantastic. I think we'd love to have you back. We could talk about some other things, but I learned a lot of things, and I'm like, I'm very proud of you.
Yeah,
I think it's wonderful.
And it shows resilience. Never give up. Don't stop pushing. Through whatever obstacle you have, just keep going.
Even your opinions post trauma, post all these things are still not. You're not dismayed by your history. You know what I'm saying? So I think that shows a lot about your character and you as a Muslim. That's wonderful.
Appreciate you, sis. Thank you for coming through.
Thank you for coming.